Zone B lost.
What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with another Destiny video.
Enemy captured.
And as you can see, I'm running around the Crucible today, trying to get ready for the next Iron Banner. I'm just trying to practice a little bit. It's been a while since I played PvP in the game.
Zone A.
And as usual, getting taken down by an Arc Blade guy right off the bat here. Or actually, well, I managed to survive that time. Anyways, guys, today we are looking at an exotic weapon commentary / review, and I'm going to be talking about the exotic auto rifle Hard Light, which is one of my favorite weapons. It's a weapon I think is a little bit undervalued at times in this game. For whatever reason, people just don't seem to really like it that much, and I'm thinking that's mainly because it's not the Suros regime. But we'll get into that a little bit more in depth in the video here. We wanted to start this off with some Crucible footage just because I know you guys like to see how these weapons perform in the Crucible. And I am self-proclaimed not the greatest Crucible player who ever lived, but I'm decent enough. And, as I get Fist of Havoc in the face. But, I think I'm decent enough to comment on some of these weapons. Now, Hard Light is one of the, it's a higher rate of fire, lower impact auto rifle, whereas with Suros you're getting the, the lower rate of fire, but the really high accuracy with it, and so it's going to be better for close quarter situations. Again, it's got that, high rate of fire, which is really good if you are on a smaller map. This is a better weapon, I think, for PvE than it is PvP, depending on the situation. It's a very situational weapon. As you can see here, I'm able to get kills from a decent range, but not a great range. And it's a very hard weapon to use sometimes in PvE. Now, just to give you guys some numbers, if you are using this weapon in the Crucible, you are going to get 20 damage per headshot and 16 damage to the body. So not the greatest statistics. You are going to have to land a good number of shots in order to get those kills with this weapon in the Crucible. Stability can be an issue. There are perks to help that out, though, which we'll get into here when we go into it. You see they're not a great match, but as you can see, we were playing 6-on-4 basically the entire time there. But anyways, now you guys have been able to see a little bit in the Crucible. I'm going to head to the Cosmodrome and just kind of mess around with this weapon as I talk to you guys about it here. Now, I actually got this weapon from a Vanguard ROC strike, or Rock Strike as they call them. And sometimes this will drop in the Rock Strike, sometimes this will drop for you in the Nightfall. You can also get it from a legendary primary weapon engram. You can get it from any of the raids at the parts that award the exotics. And it's only actually now there are 3 exotic auto rifles in the game if you count the Necrochasm, which came out with the Crota Hard Mode raid. But there's a Necrochasm, there's Hard Light, and there's Suros Regime. And Necrochasm, from what I've seen and heard about it, it's pretty terrible. Suros Regime, obviously, is one of the most sought-after exotics in the game. And Hard Light kind of occupies a space between the two of them. People kind of have, like I said, a love-hate relationship with this weapon. And it really, I think, suits a certain playstyle. It's not for everybody. But we're going to go over here and we're going to slaughter some Fallen with it, just so you can see kind of how it works in PvE. This is a very good weapon if you're up close. It takes guys out really fast. It's not as good from a long range. You can still manage to get some headshots though if you're a decent shot and you have a good sensitivity and you've got your aim down pretty good. You can still pull some headshots with this thing. I'm just going to jump up here on the rooftop here and where it's kind of quiet and we can have a little chat about this gun. So you can see that aesthetically, it looks pretty cool. It's got a nice sight picture on it that still leaves you with a lot of, you can see a lot of the screen. And as you can see from range, not the greatest. That's what I kind of wanted to demonstrate to you guys. My aim might suck too, but it's just not a very good weapon from long range. You have to be really on target with it, and you can see it takes a long time even to kill these level 2 guys. If you burst fire with it, it's a little bit more effective from a long range. But let's take a look at the Hard Light. As I said, this is an exotic auto rifle, requires level 20, and I have it maxed out to 331 attack. Ionized polymer symbolistic attack platform. This system's lethality is dynamically robust across tactical spaces. And you can see there, very high rate of fire. The impact's actually not as bad as a lot of the new high rate of fire auto rifles. It's pretty good. The range is very low, as you can tell. So your damage drop off at range is going to be huge. This is definitely a close quarters CQC type of weapon. Stability, you can see those maxed, which is really good when you're up close and personal. Reload is also pretty good, and I'll get into why that, some other things you can do to help this weapon out. But let's take a look at it more in depth here. You have accurized ballistics. You can see that will take your range and impact up a little bit if you want to take a little bit of a sacrifice on the stability. It's actually, I recommend using that when you are in the Crucible. It's a little bit going to help you out a lot more, especially since you don't need to be up at a long distance in the Crucible a lot to get those kills. Glass half full, the bottom half of each magazine causes additional damage as we disconnect from the game. Oh, thanks Bungie for your wonderful network service. Alright guys, bear with me a second, we'll get right back into it here, and I'll just stay here in orbit and finish off my commentary on this weapon. Alright, so getting back into it, we were talking about glass half full. The bottom half of each magazine causes additional damage. This is pretty good in PvE. You're going to get, normally you'll get a 261 damage on a headshot in PvE against a level 30. Now if you have glass half full, it's going to be between 265 and 270 for a headshot when you get to the bottom half of the magazine. Body shots, you get 105 damage in PvE against a level 30. With glass half full, this only goes up to like 107, 108, so it's not a huge damage increase, but it is helpful. Now, if you're going against level 30 major, oddly enough, your headshots are going to pull 131, and your body shots are going to be the same at 105. Glass half full affects that about the same. You go up to like 135-ish on the headshots, about 107, 108 on the body shots. And you got your damage upgrade. Now, you do have quick draw, which I don't really, this is not a very useful perk on this weapon. Your best perk for this is going to be fitted stock. You can see what the stability is without fitted stock, and with it there, I strongly recommend using fitted stock. Now you can do field scout if you want a little more ammunition. It goes up to 56 rounds. However, this makes glass half full a little bit, less effective, so I like having the smaller magazine, plus this weapon has a good reload speed, so I always go with fitted stock. That would be my recommendation. You have Volatile Light. This is the main perk on hard light. Rounds fired from this weapon over-penetrate targets and ricochet on hard surfaces. Now what this does is if you're in a close quarters map and you're shooting somebody like really close, like, in CQC range, the bullets are going to go through them, they're going to bounce off the walls, and they can hit other people. This doesn't come into effect quite a lot, but it is kind of a neat perk when you are, if you're in a close quarters fight in the Crucible. Helps out. It does a little bit extra damage, but overall, it's as the exotic perks go on most of the exotic weapons, this is kind of It's not that great. Then you got your upgrade damage here to bring the weapon up to 331. And then I can compare it here to you. You can kind of see, you want to compare it to the statistics on Suros Regime, which I also have maxed out. You can see rate of fire on Suros is actually just a little bit less. You can see the impact on Suros is a lot higher, along with the stability. And this is one of the reasons that Suros Regime is just such a good weapon. It's just got like the best of all worlds. You can see the rate of fire is not that terrible for an auto rifle, but you get that huge impact. Plus the bottom half of the magazine deals bonus damage and can heal you, which is a great perk when it works. I'll get to that when I cover Suros, but that perk doesn't always it doesn't always vibe well with me. But still, hard light is definitely a good weapon if you can make it work for your playstyle. I wouldn't recommend this gun for everyone. And the other thing too you're going to have to kind of think about is, does this weapon deserve to take your exotic slot if you have other exotics like Icebreaker or Yalahorn, or a different exotic you want to use like for a secondary weapon or for a heavy weapon? And I would say in most cases probably not. Especially if you're a hunter, this weapon is not a great weapon for you. This weapon is more suited towards a Titan or a Warlock melee build, or someone who likes to play up close and personal with the enemies a lot. In that case it can excel very well, especially if you're using this in the Crucible. This is going to be a great weapon on smaller maps. Definitely a great, like Burning Cauldron on Mercury, this is a great weapon for that. Any kind of CQC map, this is a great weapon to have in your arsenal for. It's not going to be very good if you get on like a map like Blind Watch, or as you guys saw in Shores of Time, I was struggling with it pretty good. It's not a good weapon for longer range maps. You're going to want to use a Suros Regime, or you're going to want to use a weapon with a little bit longer reach. And as I said, though, this is really good for a melee build. If you're going to be up close, where you're getting melee hits, especially with your Warlock, you got a great melee range. This is a good weapon for that. It will complement a melee style very well, very, very well. So there are times when this weapon does come in handy. You know, it's like I said, it's not one of the best exotics, but it's decent. And I think it just has a special place in my arsenal because this was actually the first ever exotic drop I got from anything in the game. I've been using it for quite a while. I've kind of gotten comfortable with it, especially in PvE. Now, if you're using this in PvE, again, you're going to have the same issues you do with the Crucible. Again, it's just not going to be very good at a long-range engagement. And that's, I think, a lot of the players who play Destiny really favor standing back, you know, keeping more to that mid-long range and using those better auto rifles to kind of weed out the enemies before they move in. But if you're the type who likes to rush in and punch people in the face and just, you know, mow people down real quick with shotguns, you know, this is a great complementary weapon for that kind of style. And I would suggest you want to use this, a good strike to use this on is like the summoning pits on Fogoth, where a lot of the encounters in that strike are going to be up close, where you don't have much of a choice to how far away you can engage your enemies. You know, like that first room where there's the 3 waves with all the knights and everything else, you know, this weapon can gun through those guys really quick. It's also good on the Venus, the Nexus strike. But, you know, play around with it, you know, and see where you like it. You know, if you're a better shot and you've got really good aim, you can make this weapon work to long range. But it's just not going to be as effective as a Suros Regime or even some of your legendary auto rifles. So that's pretty much it in terms of where you can use this, how you can use this. And, you know, like I said, this is a decent exotic. And I think it's also a pretty unique exotic because I see a lot of people on the forums and in videos, you know, they're just saying this is like the only exotic they don't have. They can't seem to find it, which is kind of weird for me because I hardly ever get those kind of guns in this game. So I think that's another reason I like to use this. It's kind of more of a, you know, kind of a statement thing. It's like, hey, look, I've got hard light, you know. So, but it's a pretty cool looking gun, and it's pretty fun to use, like I said, depending on the situation you're looking to use it in. But anyways, guys, that's about all I have on the hard light today. Next time I'll probably gonna do a review on Suros soon, also Last Word, and then I've got one on the Chance that's coming pretty soon. I still have to look at the Vanquisher and the Crusader more in depth as well. I'm just trying to get a lot of these weapons maxed out so I can actually talk about them, you know, and make sure I've used them quite a bit. But just to bring that to you guys so you guys can kind of get some more information on these weapons. So anyways, guys, I'm going to take off here. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found this helpful. Hope maybe it's turned some of you on to maybe trying hard light if you've heard some negative things about it. You know, I always say try it first before you know, believe what everybody else says. The other thing, too, is make sure when you're, especially with these exotic weapons, when you first get them, they're not going to be that great because they don't have a lot of perks unlocked. You know, with hard light, you got to make sure you at least get to the fitted stock upgrade and get it the damage up a little bit so you can kind of see how it's going to perform. If you get to like glass half full and just decide, oh, hey, I don't like this gun, and you just get rid of it, then you're not really doing yourself a favor. You know, always level these up a little bit. Even if you keep it in your inventory and you don't use it much, just, you know, select the gun when you're turning in bounties, throw some experience on it, get these perks unlocked, and then really try it out once you get, you know, more of the skill tree unlocked on the gun. And you're really going to get the full experience there and be able to tell whether or not it's a weapon you're going to enjoy. So anyways, that's about it for Hard Light. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will see you guys again next time.